Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Great title. Very good.
I suppose.
Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be our review of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9. Is that the right order and way to say it? I don't know. I usually remember saying it like Rise of Skywalker, a Star Wars story, but we'll just say it that way anyways. But I don't get it either. You wouldn't get it. At least Joaquin Phoenix wouldn't. But getting into our review of this, we're going to be giving major spoilers. If you haven't seen it, it's been out for a while. It's been
long enough.
Sorry, guys. We're going into spoiler time.
We took our time with this one.
Yeah. Sorry that we're a little bit late on it. We kind of mentioned in the Joker video, which I don't know is going to be released before this one or not. We took a little bit of time off. Jason and I were working very, very hard, so we're sorry about that. Please forgive us. Use the Force. Be nice. Okay? So we're going to be going over major spoilers. If for some reason you haven't seen this, don't know why, you're watching this video, put it on pause, watch it later, and then come back to it. All right, so let's get into this film.
Andrew, I got to tell you... Never mind.
Okay, sounds good, Jason. Thank you. So, Rise of Skywalker. It's entertaining. It's fun to watch. But when you think about it, there's a lot of plot holes in this film. And look, we're not going to... Jason and I don't usually like to bash on films. It's because we know how hard people work on these things. But, just giving our opinions on it. Like, again, it's a fun, entertaining film. In the moment when you're watching it, like, I generally... I've seen this film twice. I had a good time while watching it when I wasn't thinking too much about it. But after you watch it and you start thinking about things like, wait, why is that happening? Or why is this happening? There's a lot of plot holes in this film, and it just, I don't know,
For me, that wasn't so much the issue for me. For me, it was like, there was things set up in 7, and then 8 took it this way, and then 9 tried to be like, okay, we're over here, but we gotta try to bring it back over here, but we're just trying so hard to get it back over here that we're throwing all this away, and we're trying to get back here, so it's all jumbled all over the place. And it's just bam, 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 bam.
Basically, we're saying Kathleen Kennedy really has serious direction. She knows exactly how to run a trilogy. She really plans it out and thinks meticulously about these things. So, thank you, Kathleen Kennedy.
It's not even about planning it out, because, honestly, let's be honest.
Clearly wasn't.
I don't think the original trilogy was planned out.
Well, that's up for debate. I think in George Lucas's head it was, but that's up for debate.
But anyways,
it turned out very planned.
You have to have continuity, is my thing. I love the characters in this trilogy, especially because of the way they're set up in 7.
Okay.
But then 8 just
subversion of expectations.
It just ruined all the development for me. And then this one I didn't really know what to expect, and they kind of just threw a bunch of things at us, and some things were okay, some things were good, and a lot of things were not that good.
You make an interesting point. While I had more fun and thought this film was more entertaining than The Last Jedi, I thought Last Jedi was a better film. Not a better Star Wars film, a better film. Well,
I think The Last Jedi actually is a good film, but when you are trying to take things from what happened before it, if you take it on its own as an individual thing, it's good for the most part, not everything. But it totally just, I don't know, it just threw, it's like they didn't even watch 7, and then this one was just, this whole series is fighting against each other.
The biggest issue with this particular film is the writing. I mean, Chris Terrio, the writer of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Although Jason and I really do like the Ultimate Edition, the Zack Snyder cut. I don't know. Yeah. Chris Terrio was the right man. Again, I'm sure he worked very hard on him, not throwing any dust in his bin or anything like that. But I don't know. The writing was just all over the place with this film. My biggest issue with this film, especially when you're going to wrap up 9 episodes of the Skywalker saga, I like fast-paced movies. I also like slow burners like Alien, 1979, Ridley Scott. I mean, as long as they got those good, character development moments, you got some proper arcs. I just feel this film was a little too fast-paced. You didn't get time to breathe at all. Things just happen so fast, and when you're trying to, move on to the next thing, move on to the next thing, move on to the next thing. It's
another thing too is I don't know if any of this is true or not, but apparently this movie was cut down a lot. So I'm assuming that a lot of the time, you're right. But I mean, there would have been, if this movie was 3 hours long, then there would have been had those times.
I would have enjoyed. I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more if it was 3 hours long to try and close out the
as
series.
long as it's good, I'm not saying it would have saved this movie or anything, but I think if every single scene goes from 1 minute to a minute and a half or 2 minutes, you're going to have that breathing room in between.
For sure. And getting a little off the cuffs here, Jason and I don't advocate for drinking, but if you take a shot every time that Finn yells Rey, you're going to get pretty drunk at the end of this film. Just a fun little side note. Getting back to the characters, though, yeah, right? Rey! And speaking of Finn, like, I love Episode 7 Finn in terms of, like, seeing a stormtrooper, like,
I think he's the best character in the movie.
Yeah, seeing a stormtrooper not want to be part of the First Order anymore and, like, you know, veer off into, like, doing, you know, the right moral thing, even though he was kind of more trying to run away in that film, and his arc was actually, you know, giving a shit and actually caring about, you know, the cause of the galaxy and trying to fight, you know, the First Order, because that's who...
It's a great concept.
Yeah, no, it's a great concept. But then in Episode 8 now, they're like, what do we do with Finn? Clearly has nothing to do with him, at least in their minds. I mean, it sucks, too, because John Boyega's they're all terrific. And by the way, for me, too, a big thing that they really messed up, you should not have waited till Episode 9 to put these three characters together, because I actually enjoy... I'm not saying that they were great scenes, or by that I mean, or they had amazing character moments together, but I actually liked the three of them together, and I would have liked it.
I love all the kids.
Yeah, I mean, again, if we're going to compare to the original trilogy, when did the original trilogy put Leia, Han, and Luke together for the first time? In the Death Star, about what? Halfway to 3/4 of the way through A New Hope? I'm not saying you had to do that exactly. At least at the beginning of Episode 8, put the three of them together and start building off of that.
Well, now we're back to what Episode 8 did wrong.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just talking about it as a whole, as a trilogy from Kathleen Kennedy's perspective.
And I don't mind even making this video a little bit of an overall trilogy
we can do it.
discussion.
That's like, the beauty of having your own channel. You can do whatever the you want.
I do want to focus on this third movie, but going back to what we were saying, like, I think this movie would have been much, much better if there would have been the continuity through the whole entire trilogy versus having one over here and then one over here and then having the third one trying to, like, not only wrap up these two, but also trying to wrap up the whole trilogy. I also think this trilogy would be better and this movie would be better if it wasn't trying to wrap up 9 movies, only 3.
And speaking of, like, fast-paced and not, like, letting us breathe, like, moments like where Chewbacca, like, dies, and then
we find out he's not dead, like, a minute later.
I mean, like, from an odd... Like, I would have preferred, like, in that moment, like, and again, we saw the... or you probably didn't, because you don't like to watch trailers, which I don't blame you, but if you watch the trailers... If you watch the trailers, you know that Chewbacca is with Lando in that end battle.
Yeah.
So when he does die, it's like, okay, I already know he's not dead. I already saw the trailers. I already know, so...
I thought that was actually a pretty powerful moment in the movie, where, like, obviously, you know, Rey shoots the lightning out of her hand and her being powerful that way, but even just, like, holy shit, Chewbacca's, like, might be dead even. Like, I know you didn't think that, but I hadn't seen the trailer, so I was like, oh shit.
But see, like,
maybe.
Like J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, that's where I feel like moments like that, like, don't show the audience that Chewbacca... Let us breathe a little bit and, like, really feel for Rey in that moment, like, what she did. And, like, it just also, too, felt like 2 scenes later, it's like, oh, wait, Chewbacca died? I can't tell by how they're acting and behaving anymore. Like, stuff like that just really irked me. And, like, again, I was enjoying it in the moment, but then when you think about it later on, it's like, no, that's not the proper way how a character would react to after. I mean, her reaction to how she was, like, the performances by all the actors, they do the best they can with what they've got in terms of from the script. But, like,
many of them even do really well.
Yeah, no, for sure. But, like, you know, when you hear, like, Finn yelling, I mean, that's all he does all movie, but when you hear, like, Rey yelling, like, Chewie, like, all that, like, that was powerful. I felt that. But then 2 scenes later, it's like, wait, is Chewie dead? I can't tell by how they're reacting and behaving. Is Chewie really dead to them? I don't know. You know, it's like little stuff like that just goes a long way for me. Let's talk a little bit about Adam Driver. Obviously, he's a phenomenal, phenomenal actor. I don't know how I personally felt about Kylo Ren's redemption. It was... I understand that he's the Vader of this trilogy, so we gotta redeem him.
He's really not, though.
Really?
He's really not the Vader, because...
Who's the Vader in this trilogy?
There isn't one.
Okay, good answer.
There's not a Vader. Vader is the Vader of this trilogy.
Ah, okay. Well, apparently Vader didn't even what he did apparently didn't even mean shit in Return of the Jedi, because we got Palpatine is back. So, but let's focus and...
still save Luke.
Yeah, no, of course. But let's stay on Adam Driver for a second. In regards to his redemption, like, I don't know, like, it was okay. I just felt like, you know, what the whole Force healing stuff with Rey, and, like, where did that come from? Where did she learn that? Like, why is this a thing now? Have Jedi always known to do this? Why didn't Obi-Wan do that to Qui-Gon Jinn in Phantom Menace when he got sliced by the lights? I don't know. I didn't know.
Because Rey's more powerful than Obi-Wan at that point.
But she's the most powerful Jedi ever. Didn't you know?
Maybe not ever, but, she's pretty powerful.
She's the most powerful Jedi ever, at least according to these movies.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I had no problem with them using the Force heal thing. Like, I don't know. They obviously, when she healed that snake thing, you knew it was going to come back later in the movie. Obviously. But for me, what I didn't like was the ending of the movie where basically they're fighting Palpatine, and then Palpatine's just like, all right, Ben, see you later. He's out of the picture. And then she, like, defeats him with the 2 lightsabers. Like, I wanted them to be... Honestly, the most epic fight scene in this whole trilogy was in Episode 8, when they're fighting in that Red Room after they kill Snoke. Like, you gotta have at least that level of, like, tense fightingness in this movie, because there was no epic fight scene at all.
Well, yeah, Ben gets the lightsaber through the whole Skype kind of thing.
That was sick, where he pulls that out and he's fighting, the Knights of Ren, which,
The Knights of Ren, don't even
the Knights of whatever.
Yeah, the Knights of whatever.
Honestly, I didn't give a fuck about the Knights of Ren at this point, because...
How could you?
Yeah.
They were mentioned in Episode 7, Episode 8, they're not in it at all. And then Episode 9, they just show how, like, completely how inept they are and how useless they are. They were as useless as Commissioner Gordon in Tim Burton's Batman series.
I did like the scene on the, when they're fighting on that ship in the water. Like, I thought that was good. Again, I think a lot of that was cut out, but, like...
It kind of felt like there were, like, the way it's shot, I would agree with you. It's shot in a really interesting way. I just felt like it was kind of slow. Like, some of the lightsaber battle there.
Well, here's the thing, and even
I liked the Episode 7 fight scene better.
Even going back to that fight scene, like, at no point do these two people want to kill each other. So they're not fighting to kill, you know what I mean? Like, you could say, oh, why did Rey beat Ben in Episode 7? Because he didn't want to kill her. He didn't want to kill her, so, like, why would he kill her?
Right. I did really enjoy although I know, like, people are like, that made no sense too, but it's a Star Wars film. These are freaking sci-fi fantasy films, so it's like, what's supposed to make sense, right? But I did enjoy the scene where Harrison Ford came back as Han Solo. Kind of, we get that whole rewind of the Episode 7 scene. You got a lot of the same lines. And also,
I thought it worked pretty well.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I mean, it's more of a memory, because he doesn't use the Force.
I also have a feeling that maybe they were thinking it was supposed to be Leia, but because obviously Carrie Fisher died, she can't film these scenes. So what the interpretation I got was that Leia, when she dies, she's using all her energy in that moment when, like, Kylo's basically about to strike Rey down to connect with him. And then he gets that, that feeling or that message from his mom, and then she uses his memories to project Han Solo there.
That's a different take on how I took it.
Similar thing with what Luke did while projecting himself, and then he died from that.
I also love when Luke catches... I mean, first of all, I don't understand the rules of Force Ghosts, because what we remember in Episode 5, The Emperor Strikes Back, if you what Obi-Wan says to Luke, if you are to face Vader, you will do it alone. I cannot interfere. Okay, but Yoda used Force lightning in Episode 8, and now Luke is physically catching things, so it's like, I don't... Clearly...
And raising the X-Wing.
Yeah, and raising the X-Wing, so clearly Kathleen Kennedy never saw Empire Strikes Back. But yeah, no, I thought the biggest F you to Rian Johnson was when Luke catches the lights, and I get it, people are going to say, well, Luke just changed his mind. Fair deal, fine. Well, but it's just his line, a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. It's like, F you, Rian Johnson.
I mean, maybe that a little bit, but I mean, even in The Last Jedi, Luke realizes he made a mistake. I didn't see it as that big of an F you to Rian Johnson.
I did, but that's just that we'll agree to disagree on that one. But I get where you're coming from. You make a very fair and valid argument there. But I don't know. I just kind of took it as that. But no, it was great to see. Obviously, Mark Hamill didn't have a lot of screen time in this. He had a little more screen time than Rose Tico, which had the most screen time in this film. And let's talk about Rose for a sec. I was not the biggest fan of her character in Episode 8. There were definitely moments where I was like, okay, I could see where she's coming from. The other moments were like, okay, she's kind of annoying. Having said that, she was really reduced down in this movie.
Yeah,
I mean, she's basically has the same amount of time as an extra in this film.
She got Jar Jar'd.
She did get Jar Jar, that's for sure. Misa no.
I don't know. I I didn't have as big of a problem with Rose particularly, but it was just the whole storyline in that movie was so terrible that she just happened to be in a lot of those scenes.
Yeah, no, I mean we're not going into episode 8, but the whole Canto Bite thing was just a waste of time and just stupid.
So, but she got cut out a lot, and
I just felt bad. I just felt bad for the actress Kelly Marie Tran. Like, she's a fine actress.
Well, I think she got a lot of just hate in general. Even after the last movie.
She also had to delete her social medias because people were. It's like, honestly, if you're gonna, I don't think you should ever throw hate if you really think something really sucks.
It's not her fault. It's not the actress's fault.
No, of course, she's doing a job, and
it's not even like they hate her because of her acting. They hate her just because of the story. I think
the story and also the character. They didn't care for the character, but yes, I understand where you're coming from. But but like I said, episode 9, I had fun. It was entertaining. If I was gonna rank it in my Star Wars films, it'd definitely be on the lower tier. I mean, this whole to me, like, look, this whole trilogy, the 7, 8, and 9, there were some interesting ideas and interesting characters. It's just so much wasted potential. They could have just made it so much more epic for me personally. You know, obviously the gross and how much money these movies make would disagree with what I'm saying, but I mean, again, it's called Star Wars, so I'm inevitably going to compare to the original trilogy and even the prequels, which I have a soft spot in my heart, especially for Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, certain moments in Episodes 1 and 2, but I mean, just if we're going to play the comparison game, like, I always like the prequels more than this trilogy, just from it felt like Star Wars to me. It expanded the lore. I mean, you know, we felt a lot. I mean, we obviously get familiar characters, but one thing I did not like in this was the killing of all the main characters that we got from the from the original trilogy. And again, if it works for the story, I'm fine with that. It's just the way it was done, the way it was executed. Carrie Fisher is obviously.
Oh, no, I thought Han Solo's death was good.
I'm talking about all three in general. But
so 2 of them.
Okay, fine. You got me there. But
and one of them they really didn't have control over because she died for real.
You're right. But
so really just Luke.
Okay, fine. But the point I'm making is I wish, too, we would have gotten...
Real quick, that kind of comes to my point of this trilogy. The main fault... I mean, I guess I can't say that because this movie was not great, but I think this movie was hurt mostly because of Episode 8. I mean, I personally really love 7. That's one of my favorite Star Wars, and just in general, honestly. I'm not saying it's the best, but my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed... It's
not perfect. It's got a lot of shitty moments, but I still love it.
I enjoyed Force Awakens a lot, too, and I'd say...
It just set up, like, these characters that I thought were so good. Like, Kylo Ren, Rey, you could say, fine, she's too perfect, whatever, but Finn, even Poe, great characters. And then 8 just totally just threw all that out the window. I did like some of the development between Rey and Kylo Ren, but... Overall,
You make a fit.
And then this movie just had to do so much backtracking and like makeup work that didn't have enough time to be its own movie.
They should have just made it 2 parts, in my opinion.
I think that's what they wanted to do.
I know that's not a trilogy anymore, but that's what
Who cares? As long as it's better.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Let's talk about my favorite character in the entire film. Babu Frick. I love Babu Frick. I'm sorry. I know
he's great and I love him, but he's not. He doesn't matter enough to like be a favorite character.
Dude, he's just so freaking cute. Shoot me, Jason. I don't care. Like, I know he's not a character, but I love that. And by the way, he's voiced by the actress who plays Moaning Myrtle in Harry Potter. Fun fact. I'm sure most of you already knew that, but I'm going to throw that out there.
I bet you none of you. If you guys knew that, then let us know if you knew that.
I'm sure a good amount of you did. Jason might not give you guys credit, but I have faith in you.
Tell me if you knew it.
Yeah, I feel most of you knew that, and obviously I actually like the droid, or rather the First Order droid that they reprogrammed, Dio. I thought.
Oh yeah.
And that was voiced by J.J. Abrams.
No, thank you. It was funny.
No, it's some fun subtle thing, and I like the practical.
See, that's the Star Wars stuff that this movie did good. Just the little nerdy stuff.
What did you think about C-3PO?
He had some good moments. I liked him in this movie.
I thought it was fun. It was like, I'm just looking at my friends, like, looking at your friend. How much time
I like when he's in the hood trying to sneak around and catch up with everybody.
Yeah, I'm like, but I was thinking too, like when he said, I'm taking one last look at my friends. If like he was talking to the characters from the original trilogy, that line would have resonated with me. I'm like, these people hate you. How much time have you actually spent with them? Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about the amazing performance by Kerry Russell, even though we only got to see her eyes. Zori, right? Was that her name? I forgot her name already. They spent so much time with that character. Like when I'm talking about how fast paced this movie is and not being able to breathe, I'm talking about moments about like when you've got a medallion and you say that that's the only way you can get off this planet, and then Poe gives you a very, exposition-wise, he gives you a very good reason to give you that medallion. Then you're like, yeah, here's my medallion that I've been waiting to use to get off this planet forever. Here, take it. You've got a good cause. Go ahead. I get why she did it. The motivation makes sense. It's just it happens so fast. Like little things like that are what irk me about this film. And then, by the way, again, just playing into the how did this happen? How the hell did she get off that planet? Because they destroyed Kijimi, and they made it a point of contention. I'm not saying she's not capable of getting off the planet, but she is the one who said the line, you can't get off this planet unless you have this medallion, because they've got a blockade up there. Remember?
I thought the medallion was what let them get onto the ship.
Onto a First Order ship? I thought there was a First Order.
She's not trying to get onto a ship, though. She can just fly off, I thought.
I have to rewatch that. But anyways, I did think the whole thing was the whole giving every First Order ship that came from Exegol. Exegol. I think giving the whole was it Planet Destroyer thing. I've seen it. Don't need to see. And again, you didn't even utilize it, because in that final battle, why weren't they using it on all those ships? They weren't doing anything.
Well, what they said in the movie was if they fired on them, then they would hit their own ships.
Whatever.
Such a massive laser beam or whatever it is that.
Then don't put those on your ships.
I mean, I don't know. That didn't. I mean, first of all, the real reason was how did they populate all these ships with people
at the same time?
Who can't even get to the planet?
Well, I just found that. Oh yeah, how did they all get to the planet too? Yeah, right? Because they didn't have the MacGuffins.
I don't know, little things like that.
And then how about the dagger that you take it out? And how do you angle it the right way? How do you know you're standing in the right spot to angle it the proper way? I know I'm asking, so it's just all these little things. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
I thought they could have just done away with like the whole first act of this movie. Like you didn't just forget finding the map. This whole entire trilogy is about finding a map.
Yeah.
Every movie you got to find a map. Find a map in 7, find a map in 8, find a map in 9.
I will say though, even though again, not making any sense, like the whole hyperspace jumping, I thought that was pretty cool and interesting.
It was sick.
From a visual perspective, I thought that was really
I don't know if it's like if it fits in with the rest of the Star Wars universe, but like I thought it looked cool. Like.
And can TIE fighters, like, maybe I'm just being dumb right now.
Well, they established in 8 that they could track them through hyperspace.
I know the ships could, the big ships could. I just didn't know.
I guess the TIE fighters can too.
I didn't know. Well, I guess so. Yeah, no, I mean...
didn't ask that question.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
But no, look, like I said, this film is fun and entertaining in the moment. It's just when you think about... I mean, when you think about some of the other Star Wars films, A New Hope or Empire, like after, like... Those movies that make you seriously ask questions that are, like, very interesting questions, not to the point of, that plot makes no sense, that whole makes no sense, that doesn't make any sense, how did that character go from there, this happens too fast. Like, those films don't do that, in my opinion, which is why they're just hailed as some of the greatest sci-fi fantasy, space opera films we've ever freaking seen. When you come to this film, again, it's fun and entertaining in the moment. It has some really fun and entertaining moments throughout the film, and I guess that's what you can ask for from a film. Like, from that perspective, it succeeds. From a perspective as a film, as a Star Wars film, I think it's lacking very severely. Like I said, the biggest point you make is they had no clear direction with this trilogy. They tried doing this and then backtracking on episode 8 and then backtracking on episode 9.
There's a lot of outside factors that affected this movie in particular, and even to the point where I feel like, J.J. Abrams may have wanted to be doing other things, and then Disney wouldn't let him.
I also have noticed one thing with J.J. Abrams films. There's a lot of times when characters are talking, and then an action sequence breaks up the talk. Like, it happens very often, and it can be a little distracting when it happens so often. I'm a big fan of action. I'm sure most of you, who isn't a big fan of action? I just don't like. That's a good example. I just don't like scenes where they're slowly drawn out, which I like. If we're having good character moments, good character building arc moments, whatever, that are broken up every single time by an action sequence. I like action sequences in the right spots, in the right places. I just don't like it when every time we're really starting to get to know these characters, or we're starting to get some character arc moments or some building of character moments broken up immediately by a action sequence. I'm like, all right, let's go back to the action sequence. That's why I'm talking about how this film is so fast-paced. And I'm not complaining about the pacing of the film. It's just when you're trying to wrap up 9 episodes into one, I just don't think that was the wisest idea to do in almost every scene that we have, because every planet we go to is basically an action sequence breaking up, characters talking or in talking with each other. So I don't know. It's just how
I mean, I think JJ is a great director, but I think
talented director.
I think they just needed he shouldn't be writing everything. And Chris Terrio, I don't think was the right answer either. I think this movie just needed better writing.
Yeah, that's
not the only thing, but I mean, it would have helped a lot.
I mean, look, I think writing. I think Jason and I can definitely relate that writing is a very hard thing to do. I don't think studios should really undervalue the whole idea of having a writing room. I think that's a very powerful tool. You can have your main writers on it, but I think a writing room is very powerful. 12 brains is a lot more powerful than one or two, especially if you're getting
It depends on the room and it depends on the people. Adding in certain people might affect things positively or negatively. You don't know. You have to find the right fit. That's what it really comes down to.
Right.
I guess the last thing we should talk about just is Palpatine in general.
Emperor Palpatine.
I don't think the original plan was to bring in Palpatine.
No, that definitely was not.
But
thank you, Rian Johnson.
But the fact that it was a solution, from the beginning, didn't necessarily bother me that much. The fact that they brought him back, you can say the whole Anakin thing, his whole prophecy was meant nothing or whatever. My biggest thing was the end. I thought the end was just so anticlimactic.
No, that's a fair deal. I mean,
I thought at the begging, the opening scene where Ben's going down and you hear his voice booming, I thought that was kind of sick. And then they had the whole vat of failed Snoke clones, whatever. I mean, again, that's all the backtracking stuff we're talking about. But I just thought I did like the scene where he throws the lightning up and it's just messing up all the ships. I thought that was pretty cool. But the fight between Rey, Ben, and the Emperor was just so lacking.
It should have been more longer. It should have been more.
And they should have been fighting together.
Yeah, that I agree with. But Rey's the most powerful Jedi, so she doesn't need a guy's help. But having said that, I love Ian McDiarmid. I love me some Sheev Palpatine. He's an amazing actor who just really understands how to deliver a very powerful role. No. But no, he is. He's really good. I actually really enjoy, not that take, but I do enjoy Ian McDiarmid. It was nice to see him back just from a story perspective. I don't know if that was the best idea. Obviously, you got Rian Johnson to thank for that with what happened with Snoke in Episode 8.
They should have just said that Snoke wasn't dead. That would be more believable than...
I'm not going to lie, though, just moment, not story-wise, just moment. I did like the whole... I have been every voice you have ever heard inside your head. But I kind of felt too, why is Kylo Ren still going to the... I mean, I know that was the beginning of his turn to redemption, turning to the light, but it's your literal motivation besides, your uncle trying to kill you in your sleep. Talking about Luke Skywalker, obviously, trying to kill him in his sleep.
I think even before Luke tried to kill him, he was hearing those voices from the Emperor.
All right, fair deal. But my point being is his whole motivation on top of Luke trying to kill him was, I wanted to do the legacy of my grandpa. I want to honor him in some way. And also, too, he felt like his dad was never there for him. Then he was hearing these voices. Then, obviously, with what happened with Luke, I mean, I just felt like when he found out the truth about, okay, none of that was true in terms of, Darth Vader being inside your head and, being your motivation for wanting what you wanted to become. I just felt like that should have immediately been a turn, towards the light. But maybe that was, the beginning steps of it, I guess. I mean, that's just a small complaint.
The way I thought about it was, he never wanted to join the Emperor. He always wanted to kill him. He just wanted to be on the dark side and be the ruler himself.
Yeah, that's why he was hunting and searching for it. By the way, I'm sure most of you already knew the planet at the beginning, which did not resemble Mustafar. Apparently, they said it was Mustafar. At least the writer Chris Terrio said it was. So, pretty cool.
It was red.
It was red. Definitely was red. It just looked a lot different than when we saw in Revenge of the Sith and in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. But no, that was cool seeing that planet again. I did find it interesting though. At the end where Rey is on Tatooine putting away... I don't know what symbolism that Tatooine had with Leia. Also, I don't know how I didn't care for the whole changing my name to Skywalker. I understand why they were going that route, but I just didn't care for that personally.
I mean, I guess... Yeah, I'm not saying I loved it either. I think, at least from where they were going, I think it was because... She was trained by Luke and Leia. She looked at them as father figures.
Skywalker.
You're right, but she is a Skywalker.
Yeah, I guess she said she is. She's really a Palpatine, but
No. Leia is a Skywalker.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. I thought you were talking about Rey.
No. Yeah. Rey is a Palpatine, but Leia is a Skywalker.
No, apparently Rey is a Skywalker. She said, at least the woman who was, just walking randomly in the desert asked her name. That was pretty.
I honestly think it would have been better if she had just said, "I'm just Rey." Like, you don't have to say Palpatine.
I'm like Madonna. I'm just Rey.
Because this movie's called The Rise of Skywalker, so it's like it had to have been Rey then, because Ben didn't really rise. I guess he came back from being Kylo Ren.
I also felt I will admit this too, when she's like, after she gets her soul sucked out of her, or whatever the Emperor does to her and to Ben.
That confused me too, because she destroys him with the 2 lightsabers, and then she's just fine, and then she's dead. All of a sudden.
I really wish they would have also explored, and with her character really turning to the dark side, they really did not explore. They had that one little scene where she had those beautiful looking teeth. No, I really wish they would have explored that, because it would have created some conflict and drama with the character, because there was never any of that really, other than, who are my parents? Oh wait, they're drunk drillers? No, I didn't lie to you. They chose not to be, or whatever that dumb line was.
They were nobody. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
whatever.
That's the backtracking you're talking about. But I also felt like, again, it was really cool seeing hearing the voices of many of the Jedi. Like, we heard Mace Windu, we heard Ahsoka, we heard Kanan, Freddie Prinze Jr.
2 Obi-Wans.
Oh, was it both Alec Guinness and
well, he took that one line of I forget something.
And we heard Hayden Christensen.
Cut it out. He just says Rey.
And we also heard Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, multiple times.
Yeah,
multiple times.
I just really feel, and again, I get why they only showed Luke and Leia. They're the ones who, even though Luke really basically trained her for a day or whatever it was. I know you can make the same argument. Yoda only trained Luke for a few days or whatever it was, but Leia had more of an impact to me on Rey than Luke did. But again, I get why they showed just the 2 characters, but I would have, like, me, if I was making that film or writing it, I would have shown all the Jedi that were talking to her, in that moment where she came back. I thought that would have been more epic shot.
There's many rumors that are surrounding this movie. One of them being that they had filmed it with at least some of them.
How'd you feel about the Reylo kiss? I didn't care for it. I thought it was very forced and just came out of nowhere. I get that they had been building a chemistry with each other in terms of the Skype shows that they were doing over the last 2 films, which
I did like those.
Those I liked a lot. That was cool. There was some good character building moments in their interactions, like that. I felt was good. It's like she hated his guts for what he did to Han Solo, and then it just, I don't know, it just felt too forced to me.
Well, what I feel about that particular thing is that she hated Kylo Ren, but she had strong feelings for Ben Solo. Now, to the kiss, I didn't love the kiss,
it was forced,
but I didn't hate it nearly as much as I hated the Palpatine scene, because if this movie is supposed to be about part of the movie is supposed to be about the redemption of Ben Solo, I feel like that was very just underwhelming.
And just speaking,
he didn't do anything.
And just speaking about the fact that she's a Palpatine, like, somewhat interesting idea. I actually liked what I didn't love a whole lot of things in Last Jedi, but I did like the idea that Rian Johnson, did explore with. You don't have to be a Palpatine or a Skywalker to have Force powers to make an impact in the galaxy. Like, you can be someone else and still have... even we got the idea from that Finn. He was starting to get Force abilities, too.
Yeah.
I guess that's supposed to be his line where he's like, Rey,
that's what I think you're supposed to be saying.
Force abilities, even though it came off as I love you.
But why would he be saying that in the moment if you're going to die? Like, I have to tell you, I'm Force sensitive.
Yeah, no, that's why I can't... I love you part. Yeah. And then also, too... the whole Maz Kanata in Force Awakens, how she got Luke Skywalker's a story for a different time. Well, we never got that answer. There was a lot of unanswered things that we never got. See,
my personal feeling about the whole trilogy is that 7, while not perfect, was a great setup, a great first movie of the trilogy.
And
then they didn't go anywhere with it.
Yeah,
and you can blame it all on Episode 8, but it was really both movies.
Thank you, Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy. And then also too I don't mind fan service. But sometimes too much fan service can be distracting.
Giving Chewie the medal?
Giving Chewie the medal. Like, it's cool.
And in the end, he's like, yeah, I got the medal,
finally. But it's like, Chewie never complained in any of the... it was us fans that were complaining that Chewie never got the medal. Chewie never himself complained that he didn't have the medal, but it was a cute little moment, but servicing a fan...
It just sucked that they gave Rian Johnson all the creative freedom, and they gave JJ not so much creative freedom.
Well, hey, that was his choice to come back.
You're right.
I don't feel any empathy for him.
No, but it's like it's not. I feel empathy for us because we got like these movies were not that great. They should have been way better.
They could have been. Yeah. So as you can tell, Jason and I love this. We definitely think it's the best Star Wars movie ever. Empire Strikes Back.
I don't think it's as bad
fun,
as people are saying.
It's fun and entertaining. I'll give it
that.
that.
Like, where would you rank it in the trilogy? What like
of 7, 8, and 9?
Yeah.
Ooh. I would probably 7 is for sure number 1. I had a more fun and entertaining time than watching Last Jedi. I just think Last Jedi is a better film. Like, it actually has.
It is a better film on its own, but not within the trilogy, though.
All right, if you want to play within the trilogy, then 7, 9, 8. If you want to play from films 7, 8, 9. So, but that's.
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if I had my choice of do I want to watch the prequels or do I want to watch 7, 8, 9, I'm leaning more towards the prequels. That's just me. Go ahead, destroy me in the comments section. I don't care. That's just what I feel.
I think they're comparable because in the prequels, I think 3 is by far the best.
Oh, yeah.
And the sequels, I think 7 is by far the best. So they each have their one movie that's pretty damn good. You can say 3 is better if you want. You can say 7's better. I don't know. But, like, yeah, 1, I mean, I think 1's underrated still, but still. Not as good. 2, not as good. That's the same as 8 and 9 in this one. So, all
right, fair deal.
I think they're comparable. Yeah. They're both very hateable, and they both have great moments.
It's always fun comparing shit to shit. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to call
I think the prequel movies had great story, other than Anakin and Padme. But
what are you talking about? That was the greatest. That was the greatest romance of all time.
Not the best execution.
And George Lucas really knows how to write love. He knows how to do it, Jason. What are you talking about?
This trilogy just had its own problems. I don't know. I think it was all more political problems than like Disney problems.
Yeah, that's a debate for another time. A story for another time. We'll let Maz Kanata explain
how would a score?
Ooh, I would give Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker a Star Wars story.
Why a Star Wars story?
Ask Kathleen Kennedy. I don't get it either. At least neither did Josh Baskin in Big. I would probably go more like a 6.8, something like that out of 10.
Yeah, I'm thinking like around a 6. So
cool. We're on the same page, Jason. I like it.
Yeah, it had moments that I really liked. It had some pretty funny moments here and there. Some of the humor was forced, but I thought it did have some humor that hit very well.
I'm giving it a 6.8 for Babu Frick alone. Like, Babu Frick is or whatever. I know that's a terrible interpretation of his performance, but I love Babu Frick. I'm sorry. I know that he had really barely any lines, if you want to call his lines of dialogue, but I love Babu Frick. I'm going to plan on getting a Babu Frick figure. I'm going to have some collectibles in my house, so...
Just wear them on your shoulder all the time.
Babu Frick. Babu Frick. The movie should have been called Star Wars: The Rise of Babu Frick. That's what they should... That's where this movie's really lacking. Yeah.
All right, well, I think that's going to do it for this movie/trilogy review. Let us know what you thought about the movie and the trilogy in the comments section. And if you guys like these videos, you can hit the subscribe button.
See you guys next time.